Yes. Well, I want to present to you a story, and then my mind got working. This is something. I think it's a microcosm of a bigger issue, and we're going to get into it. It involves Robbie Grossman. Just a reminder, if you haven't subscribed yet, as I just can't get these cursed headphones untangled. If you haven't,
stupid headphones.
Right, I'm hearing delay. YouTube, subscribe and like and do whatever it is you do there. We have our own YouTube channel now. We are crushing with content over there. So if you're not seeing it on the ticket, no, it's not that people are spaced out. It's that it resides in a different place. Also, Wednesday, Cookies and I launching Cash the Ticket again. All your college and pro needs. First episode Wednesday. We're going to give you a double dip on college for week 1. Probably drop an episode next Tuesday for the Thursday, Friday games, and then next Thursday for the Saturday, Sunday, Monday games. So available wherever podcasts exist, Spotify, Apple, wherever you like. And, of course, I think the Odyssey app. Okay, technology portion over. So Robbie Grossman got traded to the Braves. Nobody really cared. Robbie was terrible this season. But this is an interesting story. It comes by way of The Athletic. Soon after the trade, analysts from the Braves operations presented a video to hitting coach and former player Kevin Seitzer that showed what Grossman was doing differently from past seasons when he thrived against righties. And the outlook started to change. If Grossman saw the same things they were seeing and was willing to work right away on adjustments, Seitzer and company basically got him in a position where he's playing more than Eddie Rosario, who is kind of their designated righty masher, if you will. And, of course, my computer crashes at exactly the wrong time, and now I can't bring you the statistics for you. Hold, please. Oh, we're back. It's me again. Sorry, guys. We're having some real difficulties here. So to say it's worked as hoped would be an understatement. Grossman hit 205 with a 595 OPS and 2 home runs here in almost 300 at-bats. It's just horrible, including 143 against lefties. In the 11 games with the Braves before this weekend, he's hitting 286, 2 homers, a 965 OPS, and is 6 of 18 from the left side. Now, again, sample size. But here's what's disturbing. And it really, to me, unlocks the problem is the Tiger organization is rotten to the core. It's never been just an Avila thing. Al was charged with fixing a lot of the problems, but it's not accidental when you haven't developed a positional player who made multiple All-Star teams since Travis Fryman. Your organization sucks, and a lot of the people who you have working for you suck. Your analytics department sucks. Your international program sucks. Your drafting sucks. The whole thing sucks. So here's my point. That's not news. But the question I'm going to ask you, I think, is at least thought-provoking. If you teleported down from space today out of a UFO, and I charged you with rebuilding the Tigers, would I be charging you with the most difficult rebuild in all of sports? Baseball, basketball, football, hockey. The core 4. Forget about college. Forget about soccer. None of that. But the Detroit Tigers, when you look at this thing right here and right now, the entire front office is up for grabs. You can't sell me. Remember when Verlander got traded in 2017? He openly said the Tigers aren't in the same galaxy as the Astros in analytics.
Yep.
You look at, well, why does every player we get rid of do well somewhere else? You look at every guy you draft positionally. They're terrible. Torkelson comes up. He's terrible. Riley Green comes up, and outside of the early returns in the first 10 to 12 games, he's largely stunk.
Yeah, good weekend.
Ooh!
Shohei Ohtani hit the home run.
Ooh!
You're such a hater.
So my point is this. Am I overselling it that the Tigers are the most brutal rebuild in all of sports? It's the biggest challenge in all of sports? Because if I am, you're going to have to tell me what's a more difficult rebuild. What sport, what team, and why? Because I'll tell you, no matter who comes in here to run this thing, this isn't just about drafting. It's not just about putting an MLB roster out there or determining a rotation or we got to spend money. Oh, this is way more. It's way more. I think the Robbie Grossman thing is a very tiny example.
The fact that they literally were like, this guy's, we may have gotten a steal here. I've watched some tape. How about he just does this and changes swing? Boom, 48 hours later, he's there. You had him all this time. You couldn't fix him. So I'm Mike, I have a team out there that I think could be in the running.
Well, don't be scared.
For the Tigers. I would have to go to the NFL and say this current Chicago Bears team. It reminds me a lot of the whole Quinn Trisha thing when you let people hang around too long and they drafted people who they would never coach, but they brought in people who the next coach I don't really think cares for. I look at their offense. I don't see anything. Your best defensive player wants out, and he's just going to play this year out. I look at the Bears, and I think I would have to put the Bears right up there with the Tigers, where it's going to take some time to just kind of gut that thing and bring in some real players. I think the Lions are further along than the Bears.
They're
when it comes
way
to the
further along.
No, right, but that's what I'm saying. And that's normally a staple. The Lions are used to be the floor, like, well, there's always Detroit. Can't say that. I think now you're saying, well, the Bears are the worst team.
No, and again, when I talk about the Tigers, 248-539-9797, what capital do you have here? What tradable assets do you have? Well, the answer is next to none. You didn't do anything at the deadline this year. Who wants anything you have outside of Skubal, and now Skubal's having surgery? So you're not trading him at the winter meetings?
No.
Because he's not even healthy.
Riley Green is probably.
Okay, so Riley Green, great. Good luck. That's my whole point. They are starting off. They have no assets at the MLB level. They have next to nothing. Do you understand that the next highest rated prospect you have won't be here probably until 2025 in Jackson Jobe, maybe 24? What do you have positionally? Nothing. What has your international program really netted you? Next to nothing. You walk in as a new GM, it's not just appointing a few of your people. You're talking about, wait, this franchise operates in black and white. We're in Technicolor. You're talking about you have to walk in scorched earth. That's before we get to an owner who's questionable at best. So if the Tigers aren't the toughest rebuild in all of sports, who is? 248-539-9797. So let me run Rico's suggestion through my supercomputer. Are the McCaskies questionable in football? Yes. Are the McCaskies notoriously cheap? Yes. Is the franchise in upheaval? Yes. Do you have a regime here with players they don't want here? Yes. Do you have draft capital? No. Didn't have a first last year. You dealt it to go get Justin Fields to then fire the people who drafted Justin Fields. See, Rico's onto something there. Look at the current Bears organization. What do I have to trade? Roquan Smith and...
Exactly.
There's your list. And don't say David Montgomery. Nobody trades for running backs headed for a second deal.
I was about to say, especially somebody that just got off an injury.
Right. So Rico might... That's a good opener. I mean, Kenny, do you have a suggestion? Why do I feel like this is they're going to wear steak knives on their feet and be on ice?
Yeah, no, I was looking at all the teams in the NHL going through rebuilds, and teams near the top of the list, you would look at a team like Arizona, but running it through your supercomputer, they do have draft capital. They're always at the top of the drafts, and they just drafted a couple of really nice potential players.
Don't have an arena.
Don't have an arena, though. They're playing at Arizona State.
Who's the owner?
I am not sure off the top of my head, but they're a notoriously cheap ownership group.
So it's in the mix.
It is in the mix, but I also feel like with baseball, too, it's just a harder sport to rebuild in general. I mean, you don't know if your prospects are ever going to pan out draft by draft, whereas in the NHL, NFL, and NBA, you're getting quick hits within that year or the next year. And if your ownership group is cheap, that also adds to it. So I don't think there's any team in the NHL that compares to that.
Okay, so look, 248-539-9797. And again, when I give you this Robbie Grossman thing, I'm not acting like Robbie Grossman's a star. I'm not acting like the Braves have pulled off one of the great capers. It's the idea that in the first 72 hours of Robbie Grossman being an Atlanta Brave, their analytics department drilled down on every at-bat he had, identified a flaw, presented the flaw, presented a fix, and it's paying immediate dividends. In a league Robbie Grossman has never played in, facing pitchers he's likely never faced. So that, to me, says a lot more about you than Robbie Grossman. You had Robbie Grossman for 300 at-bats, and nothing changed. Nothing. So if that problem exists with Grossman, do you think that's an isolated example or par for the course? And you know what I would point towards? Spencer Torkelson. 300 at-bats, never adjusted, couldn't hit a fastball.
You left that man out to dry. When it was like, okay, this is getting painful now. Let's just go ahead and send him back down to Toledo. Nah.
Right. So
he'll straighten it out.
So you either agree or not, and I'm fine. This isn't like an argument where I'm going to be mad if you're like, no, I don't think the Tigers are the worst rebuild. But guys, it's also a rebuild now of a rebuild. Casey Mize is dead. Tarek Skubal is going to start from scratch in spring training.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing, and Kenny, hockey may be the closest thing to this, and Mike, you brought it up. It takes some time to get your prospects up. If Chicago comes in there with a real GM, I mean, you're seeing what Brad Holmes is trying to do and flipping this roster.
I think football's the easiest sport to turn it around in.
I mean, basketball.
Well, okay, provided you get the number one pick in the draft in a year that you get a LeBron or you get I can't say Karl Anthony Towns because Minnesota's been trying to turn around forever. Football, you can take your entire roster, throw it in a garbage can. The sport is designed where the good teams aren't allowed to stay together. The bad teams are given every advantage with scheduling, with draft picks, the bottom line is baseball's hard to rebuild. The Tigers have done it's been a nightmare of a rebuild. And now, Rico, I don't even think it's just about the GM. I don't even think it's just about the players. You're talking about an entire franchise that's short of the Old English D and the colors they wear. You can make a case everybody ought to be broomed out of here. Now, I'm not putting that on the assistants to Al because if they're giving good advice and he ain't listening, okay.
See, you know what, Mike? It's been so bad, I think that you can't. You got to just clean house. You got to blow everything.
Oh, boy.
You can't have anybody here because it's one. I don't want any resemblance because we got nothing.
Okay,
for a decade.
So then.